Would you like some water?
Yes, please.
I was just told that I was deceptively funny. I'm not sure if that's a compliment. I really don't know. You guys better have some good questions. I want some hard-hitting questions. Really thoughtful questions.
Everybody just looked at their phone and started doing their expose on you really quickly. Yeah.
Google me now. No.
Comic-Con, we hope you're having a great day so far. Make some noise here. We've got Tara Spencer-Nairn with us on the chair here. And do we have any Corner Gas fans in the house here today? I would have thought so. Did anybody see the big news this week at cornergas.com? Not only is Corner Gas heading down to the United States now with its first 2 seasons, but we are getting a 3rd season of the animated program that's set to debut next year. So let's make some noise. It's going to be pretty exciting for you.
I like working. I love being animated too. It's really cool. It's a very weird thing. I feel like now my children care. They did not really care about anything else that I did until I was animated, but now they're kind of snarky about the whole thing, so I'll let them stay up to watch because it's past their bedtime. And at the beginning they were like, "Oh man, Mom, you are so funny, ha ha ha," and now they're kind of like, you know, I didn't think that episode was very funny. I did like the line where Hank said this, yeah, but it wasn't the best. I'm like, oh wow, thanks guys. Thanks so much for that. Little tiny assholes.
So tell us about the animated special. When they give you the animation and you're voicing it, can you actually see yourself, or are you just imagining what you're going to be doing?
Totally imagining. Totally imagining. So we do the voices first. That's the first thing we do. So we started the 3rd season, I'd say, a month and a half, 2 months ago. We had to keep it quiet. We weren't allowed to say. So the one thing that I learned about being, and then they do all the animation after. That's the tough job. We really, as actors, once again, get the cushy fun job. But I did learn a lot after the 1st season, because I remember watching it, and you start to realize when you're animated, you really have to like punch up your voice. And I certainly did not do that in the 1st season. So that I kind of watched the 1st season and go, shit. Now I get it. So a lot of people, when they see me, they're like, it doesn't sound like you in the animation. But I do find that I tweak my voice a little bit more in the animation, and I push this like huskier, like bigger voice, because I just think it suits the animated character better. Yeah. But it's that weird thing. It's trial and error. I've done like 1 animated cartoon in my lifetime before this. So we're just kind of winging it. But what I love too is that normally when like people shoot an animated or record an animated series, they record it 1 actor at a time, and you just say your lines. So it'd be like, oh my God, that's crazy. Wait, come over here. Can I get a soda? Like, it's just super random, and you're imagining reacting to the other people. But what they decided to do with Corner Gas, because the show really is about the relationships between the characters, the comedy, and the comedy is what it's all about. And so we actually, most of the cast is in Vancouver. Me, Eric, and Corrine, who does the voice of Janet, Emma, are in Toronto. So those suckers have to wake up early. They're at the studio at 9 a.m. We're in Toronto at noon. And we actually record the entire script from beginning to end. So we go scene by scene, working together, back and forth. We get to play off each other. You sort of feel the energy and the relationships and the banter that you had on set. And I think that's what makes the show sort of remain true to Corner Gas and what it was, is that we're not sacrificing any of that.
I find that really interesting, because I wondered if it was the same as movies. Like, do you do a table read with the script beforehand, or are you in there, you know your lines, and you're just kind of acting out and seeing what the reaction is from your partners?
Oh, dude, I don't even know my lines. I don't have to learn my lines. What's that? This is the good time. This is the good life. No, I'm kidding. If we're lucky, we'll get the script 2 days before. And I'll be honest, like I struggle to read out loud. I'm always like, I'm like half of a threat, guys. I'm not even a single threat. I'm like a half threat, because I can kind of read. So I like to get the script and go read it at least twice, and then I'll focus on just my dialogue or just my scenes. And then the next day we're in the studio recording. And I swear to God, I'm starting to think some of the actors aren't even reading the script. Even Lorne, lazy Lorne, I call him.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, sometimes he's reading that script. I'm like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. But it's really quick. And the one thing, so I kind of love that it's really quick and you get to show up in your pajamas. Maybe you haven't like washed your hair. So that's kind of nice. But I miss having the relationship with the words and the scene and playing and interacting with the other actors in the way that we would. I mean, normally when you're shooting a TV show, you're in a scene, sometimes 4 hours you're working on a scene, anywhere from like 2 to 4 hours. So you really get to play with the language and play with the actor, and there's just something else that goes on, and I do miss that interaction. So it is very different doing the animated series. People often be like, oh, I love that episode in the animated where you said this. I'm like, huh? I don't even know what you're talking about. What happened? I did who? Whereas in the series, you can tell me something and I'm like, oh, that was the funniest thing, and this happened on that day, and then so and so did that. So I love it, but it's completely different than getting to do the live action.
So if the animation is coming after you're doing the voicing, do a lot of bloopers or improv lines make it into the show at all?
You know what? This is a question people often ask. They're like, even in the live action, they're like, oh, you guys totally improv all the time. We do not at all. We are on script verbatim all the time. Once in a while, like if they know they've got the scene, they would be like, okay, fine, Freddie, do what you want. It's always Fred. I'm like, dude, just chill. They will let us, but it's usually a verbatim for the script, and it's something to remember. For all you writers out there, especially with comedy, there's such a specific. It's like singing a song, and writers have sat in a writing room, arguing over which word they're going to use in that sentence, and there's such a specific pattern and sound and banter that as an actor to just step in and say, that word's not working for me, I'm going to change it. It's extremely insulting, first of all, and it's important to realize that they put that word there for a reason, and that there is a tone, there's this beautiful sort of sound that comes out of a scene, and you really have to follow that.
So how closely did the actors on Corner Gas, both live and animated, how closely did they work with the writers at all, or
no,
not at all? They're just separate and on their own area type thing.
There's a writer's room. Brent would be the only one that's going back and forth. Yeah, no, man. We're just the actors. Actors, we get to do all the fancy things, but we have no creative control. We're just little monkeys. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Well, they ended up writing the characters fantastically. Everybody's got their favorite Corner Gas character, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, we're all here because we love Karen and Davis, and those characters are interesting to me because they're so different, but they work together so well. Like Karen can cook, and Davis can't make coffee. It's just it's an interesting dynamic that they've created for you guys to play with.
That was something that naturally happened. So originally in the script, and you might notice this in the very first or second episode, Karen is very different than how she ended up. And Davis is very different than how he ended up. They originally had us flipped. That I was the ridiculous one that couldn't do anything, and Davis was like the straight guy that was like, oh, come on, Karen. And then, because we're the only two characters that didn't screen test because he was out of town and unable, and they just sort of went, oh God, I hope this works. And so then they met us and saw us working off of each other and how we were, and they were like, oh, no, we gotta switch this. So they ended up switching it, which I think it worked really, really well. It just sort of suited our personalities and our dynamic. But I love the relationship between Lauren and I in real life and on camera, that we have a lot of weird things. We have the same birthday, which is really weird. We're both left-handed. I'm far younger than he is.
Well, notoriously, you're one of the youngest people on the show. 10 years younger, even your character was about 10 years younger than the rest, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We'll say 15, 20 years younger.
Yeah.
Well, so it's interesting that you actually liked each other off screen too, because fans like to know that you don't hate each other. I sometimes wonder when I watch the show if you have practiced together like an Abbott and Costello kind of routine, or if you're in there for the first time together trying to make each other laugh a little bit.
With Corner Gas, just the pace that we shot, you didn't really have time to rehearse anything ahead of time.
It was a quick pace show, yeah?
Oh, Canada. It's like you're doing 13 pages a day. I mean, we shot 2 episodes in 8 days, so 4 days for an episode. Like, it's pretty quick. And also because we're such a big cast, it's like, oh, I'd love to rehearse with you, but oh, you're shooting that day, and all you're kind of all pieced everywhere, so it's really hard. We're usually just jumping in there and going for it, but at the same time, you develop strong relationships with people, and it is truly like having a family member. It's the weirdest thing that happens to actors on set when you work with people for such a long time. You see people at their best, you see people at their worst, you start to understand their rhythms and who they are, and they become these people in your life that often know you better than your own family, because they see you at all these sort of different places in your life, and especially Corner Gas. I mean, I was 25, 26 when we started.
Yeah.
I'm now not that age, but
nobody do the math.
An age far greater than that. But these people have known me for a really, really long time, and there's such a bond and a love that is formed. So yeah, we all really love each other, and honestly, the fact that the show keeps going, we're like, this is amazing. We still get to hang out. We're always like, come on, Brent, can't we just record in one city, one episode per series? Like, let's go.
Now, is there somebody on set that you connected with more than others, or you went to more often for support and you found them able to help you in ways that others couldn't?
You know, it was always Janet, because there's something about Janet that she's so wise and so brutally honest. She was always someone that was a good safe space.
Are you willing to talk more about Janet? I know the
totally. No, I mean, I love Janet. I'm eating Fisherman's Friends today, so this is a great Janet story. So after all the talking yesterday and stuff like that, I was like, oh God, my throat. So I got some Fisherman's Friends, and every time I eat Fisherman's Friends, it makes me think of Janet. So Janet, who was quite a smoker, was always eating Fisherman's Friends. Like, she had Fisherman's Friends packages everywhere. There's always a Fisherman's Friends in her mouth. And it'd be like, roll sound, rolling. And you'd see Janet with her little Fisherman's Friend, like, put it down like somewhere on the set where you couldn't see it. And they're like, and action. And then she'd do her scene and they'd be like, and cut. Put it back in her mouth, roll sound, rolling. Take it out. But inevitably what would happen is that all around our set were these like half-eaten Fisherman's Friends everywhere because of Janet. And it was the funniest thing, it was the grossest thing, the weirdest thing, but to this day, every time I eat a Fisherman's Friend, I think of Janet, and it's a weird association, but she'd be laughing her arse off right now, being like, oh God, Tara.
Well, she sticks in the minds of so many fans because she made the role hers. And you've mentioned both actresses now. So Janet played Emma famously, and then in the animated, you mentioned Corinne, who plays Emma now. Was it difficult for Corinne to kind of wrap her head around that character because fans had known the character previously? Does that make sense? It was very hard, and I felt so bad for Corinne because it was such a big job to take on. But originally, so Corinne is a friend of Emma's. Of Emma. Wow, it's all the same person. She's actually a close friend of Janet's. And so when Janet passed away, the producers were trying to start thinking of Canadian actors that they knew that could pull off playing this powerful character. I mean, she brought so much to this character, like just her voice, her tone, but her comedy and her rhythm and the beats and the banter. Those are big shoes to step into. So they had these idea of these sort of iconic Canadian actresses that they wanted to bring in for this role, and it was actually Janet's husband who said, hey, could you guys please audition Janet's friend Corinne? She's a great actor, she's a great voice actor, and she knew Janet really, really well, and I think she would be able to take that on. She's got that voice. And so they were like, yeah, sure, whatever, yeah, we'll bring her in. And she ended up getting the part. And it's kind of this wonderful thing because you have someone that knew Janet really, really well.
And I just think that she just brings that piece of Janet. She knows her intimately. She understands her life, the struggles, the pain, and everything that she brought to this character. And she does that so well, but it was really hard for her to take on because it was really emotional for her as well. And it's sad because you're sort of filling in the footsteps of your friend, but at the same time, you're allowing Janet to live on forever in this character. And that's how we all feel about it. And Janet was super excited to do the animation. She knew about it. And that's kind of what she had said. She was like, oh my gosh, because she knew that she couldn't act anymore. She didn't have the strength. She was really sick when she was shooting the movie. That's why the scooter got brought in. That was sort of added because she couldn't walk. But she said, I can't act anymore. And this is so amazing that I'll be able to do something to allow this character to live on forever. So that's what Corinne's doing, and that's what we're doing. Sorry to get all sentimental, but it's letting Janet live on forever. Yeah.
Maybe you know, or maybe you don't know, did Brent or the writers, the producers of the animated ever give consideration to maybe excluding the character from the show then because of the loss? Yeah.
Never.
No.
It was never a thought because we knew how much Janet loved that character, and it was, especially her husband was like, absolutely not. You are going to carry on. Janet, this is what Janet wants, and we want this character to live on forever. Yeah.
And of course, Emma and her husband on the show, he wouldn't be the same without her, right?
Oh God, Eric Peterson, holy crap.
I'm sure we've got a few fans of Eric in the house here today.
Try to get through a scene with that guy, holy moly.
Difficult, yeah?
Well, difficult in the best of ways. He's hilarious. So, like every time we do the animation, he's constantly like, oh, hello everybody, it's Eric Peterson over here. And he's just constantly just talking. And everyone's like, Eric, we're just trying to shoot the, okay. And he's kind of got to let him go. And then you're like, are you done? Are you done? Okay, so we're going to do the scene now. He's hilarious. I mean, he is a Canadian icon. Like, it's incredible, that guy. Man, he's awesome.
What other memories do you have? I mean, you've been all over Canadian television and movies for years. What can you share us about being behind the scenes on these productions? I mean, you were on CTV's The Listener. You've done Puppets Who Kill. You've also famously done Corner Gas, which is what we're here to talk about. Memories that stick out to you from your travels?
Oh my God.
I mean, that's a pretty broad-based
memories,
question, but I'm allowing you the chance to walk down memory lane here a little bit.
My memories are always like, why do I have to shoot in such crappy cities? Like, why am I always in Sudbury? Why am I always in Regina?
The dude from Sudbury just got up and walked out over there, yeah.
Why can't I just be in a city? Like a big city with Uber Eats. Why am I always in Sudbury? Right? I mean, Regina, like, I'm being silly, but not. We loved being in Regina. It was great, but it was hard because you can't just disappear into like the city. You're always like the person from the show, and you always kind of stand out. So it's very hard to just get really drunk at the bar,
Awkward fan interactions. Has anybody ever asked for an autograph while you're in the bathroom at all? No? Any awkward fan interactions such as that?
In the bathroom. No, that's why I have, are there any kids in there? I have this beautiful thing called resting bitch face. And I have it for a reason. It kind of, keeps people away. I'm actually a really nice person, but sometimes, especially in bathroom interactions.
Yeah.
Resting bitch face. It's pretty good. Saves me every time.
Now, I know we've got a lot of people here that are here to see you here, Tara. Do we have any questions out there that we can open up on the floor before we continue the conversation? Anybody with questions out there today? No? Shy? All right, tell you what, hit your Google. You think about that. Think about that a little longer. Are you surprised there are no questions here today?
Kind of surprised.
Kind of. I'm a little bit too, to be honest with you.
You guys just know everything about me? Nothing you want to know? Like AMA? No? All right.
Oh, there we go. Here, let's go see this gentleman over here. What do you got for me, my man?
Actually, I do have a question. Do you have advice for anyone who is starting out in this field, even like maybe not even as an actor, but just in general, starting out as an actor or voice actor or anything like that, especially in Canada?
I would say train, get training, train, immerse yourself in it, get as much education and learning as you possibly can. I think it's a Or sometimes I'm like, or maybe go to university. I don't know. I go back and forth. But yeah, I would definitely, training would be the biggest thing, and educate yourself and get really good at your craft, and then jump in so that you're sort of not sort of thrown in with the sharks. It is a tough industry to break into, and I don't know, my thing in life is always, if you take little steps and you slowly earn each little step that you get, anything that happens fast can fall fast. Anything that slowly rises and you work hard and you earn every little tiny step that you get, I feel like you're less likely to fall back, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so it's like, don't expect everything to happen overnight. Work hard, put your head down, be determined, focus, know where you want to get, celebrate the little wins, and then put your head back down and work. But educate, learning and training is the number one thing I would say. No problem.
That's a great question, and it leads us to more here in our chat. Maybe some people in the room don't know how hard it was for you to break into the scene, or for that matter, how easy it was to break into the scene. Maybe you could share a little bit about your beginnings and how you got into acting in the first place.
Well, I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast. So I felt like this was an even better, like this is more achievable dream, right? I had some behavioral issues growing up.
No.
Yeah, had a little bit of energy that teachers did not know what to do with. So I remember a drama teacher, Miss Harrison Drama, in grade 9 at the school that I was going to. I was not doing very well at the school. Had a bit of some attitude and behavioral issues.
And it sounds maybe like a boredom thing a little bit, yeah?
I don't know. I just said some things that I was working through. Anyway, she pulled me aside and was like one teacher who, I don't know, gave me the benefit of the doubt and wanted to help me and wanted to say, you know, I'm not going to, rather than just like yelling at you all the time, which is obviously not helping the situation, it's just making it worse, I'm going to actually bring you in and say, why don't you try this? And so she brought me into like the little theater group. And she was like, you know, I think you would really like this, and this might be a great place for you to sort of put all that energy and all that anger and all that frustration. And it was really cool because I went on stage and I went, oh my God. This is the thing that I can do and feel good about. And this is the thing that I can do that those other people that I'm having a hard time with can't do. And it gave me confidence, and it made me feel empowered that there was something that I could do. There was something that I was good at, and there was something that I could get accolades for or be encouraged to do. And it's amazing what finding your place in this world and finding your people and finding that sort of positive thing in your life, what that can do to a person. And I will always remember Miss Harrison Drama. I saw her in a grocery store in Vancouver, I don't know, like 12 years ago. And I made a beeline. I was like, I don't know if you remember me. She's like, I know exactly who you are. And I honestly just started crying, and I said, thank you. And I told her what she did for me. And I said, you absolutely changed the course of my life. It's like you took me off the edge that I was on, and changed the course of my life forever.
I bet you there's a lot of people in this room that have their own Mrs. Harrisons, right? That helped them with the special words at the special time and kind of guided them to the path. If you're not sure what your path might be, but you know you've got the talent and something in you, I mean, how do you find it? Like, how did you?
Well, I didn't know. I still don't think I have the talent. Oh my God, I'm in auditions like 3 times a week getting big nose, but. You know, it's just one of those things. You have to believe in yourself, and you kind of have to jump in with both feet. And it took a lot of work. My mom wouldn't let me start acting professionally until I was done high school. That was her big thing. She's like, absolutely not. You're going to school. You're graduating. No way, no how. And I'm grateful for that. Sorry, I know the Degrassi kids are in the back, and they're like, or maybe they left. They
went with the guy from Sudbury from earlier.
They're having coolers. So I'm grateful for that. And then when I graduated, I was like, okay, I want to be an actor now. And my mom just said, here's the phone book. She was like, if this is something you want, you need to do it for yourself. I'll encourage you, I'll support you, but I'm not going to do it for you. You're going to do it for yourself. So I opened the phone book. I was like, talent agents. Okay, here we go. And I just started calling, and I went and auditioned for one. They originally said no. And then they called back 3 weeks later and said, we watched the tape over and we've changed our mind. We think there's something there, but she's got to do training. She's got to take classes with us. I was like, oh, damn. So I did that. And this was something I really wanted to do. And it didn't matter, how many people said I couldn't do it. I was like, God damn it, I'm going to do this. And the more people said, you can't do this, the more I was like, God damn it, I'm going to do this. So it took 4 years, I think, of going to auditions before I even got one job. And then I did get that job, and that led to another job. And actually, I think my big break for sure was New Waterford Girl. It was a movie I did on the East Coast that went to Toronto Film Festival and Sundance in like 1999. And that was definitely my big break. I think it was like my 4th or 5th project. And that, again, there was like, oh, thank goodness, sort of gave me that next step.
Yeah.
But
people don't realize the rejection comes fast and furious in this industry.
It comes fast, and also people don't realize, like, I get rejected like 3 times a week still. Like people just assume like, oh, you've been on a Canadian TV show, you must just be so busy. And it's like, well, no, I'm auditioning my arse off. And sometimes you get a yes, but it's mostly no's in this industry, and it's really hard, and you have to have a really thick skin because you are going to hear no 99% of the time. And there's some big ones where you get close and it's like, no. So you have to, it's this thing, I always say to my husband, I'm like, I need 24 hours. I'm going to be sad about this for 24 hours. Then you move on.
Gotcha, yeah.
Because there's another one.
Yeah, but with roles, you've got to learn them and kind of interpret how you're going to interpret the role. Was there ever something that you worked really hard on that you were just like, I can't believe I missed out on that thing?
Oh, all the time.
All the time, yeah.
All the time. Oh, there's some, you just have to let them go. You can't.
Something you felt your take was way better than everybody else's,
my
and
God.
it was still taken away.
All the time.
Yeah.
But you start to realize that it's not about everyone at a certain stage, everyone's a good enough actor, and it's not about being the best actor. It's just being right for the role. And it's just being like visually what people see for that role. And a lot of it has to just do with your essence and who you are. And you can't change that, so you can't take it personally. So you just have to keep doing you.
Yeah.
Sounds dorky.
No, but it works.
You just gotta do you and know that it has nothing to do with your work. It's just some things are right for you, some things aren't.
With that amount of rejection, I do find it important, as in all things in life, to celebrate the successes. Which is why we've got to celebrate the fact that Corner Gas Animated is on its way to the United States. It is notoriously difficult in the music industry that I come from, and in the television industry, for things that are purely Canadian to get even a shot south of the border. For this to happen is it's huge news.
Awesome.
The cast has got to love it, the producers, the writers, everybody's got to be so happy.
We're super pumped. And you're right, you have to celebrate the wins, no matter how big or small that they are. Even in a loss, there's a win. So you have to always, you have to be really positive. It's really hard.
It's a lot of acting, if you will, yeah. Oh, we got a question over here. Yeah, perfect.
In auditioning and getting those roles, I'm not getting those roles. I'm just wondering what your dream acting job would be if there's a TV show right now that you wish you were acting on.
Oh my God, my dream TV show would be Nurse Jackie. I love that character.
Now, why is that?
Just like living 2 separate lives. This like really amazing person who's trying to better herself, but she's actually a really terrible person who is ruining people's lives, but she's also saving people. I mean, it's just such a fascinating character. I love dark, which is so funny because I'm on Corner Gas, but I love dark, dirty comedy. I love it. I love, my husband and I watch a lot of documentaries. We watch a lot of documentaries on like mafia, drugs, cartels. Like, I'm fascinated in that world. That's my juicy place.
Now, why is that? Simply because it's an area that would intrigue you, or because you would find it challenging to do so?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
And all that you can do all that you can do as an actor is, even though you're immersed in a character and you're becoming a character and you're creating this character, but all that you can give is your life experiences, because those are the only things that you can share honestly. So it's just sort of tweaking and playing with your own experiences. And there is a really just dark side of me that, doesn't come through in Corner Gas, but that's. Oh, like right now I'm trying really hard to sort of create my own content and work with different writers. And I
thought she meant she was trying really hard to put up with me right now.
No. And I keep creating these really dark shows, and every time I go to pitch them, they're like, whoa, that's a bit too much for us. I'm like, all right, CTV.
So what does one do when a show that you're working on so hard is rejected? Do we tweak the show, or do we re-pitch to someone else?
It depends. So I've had a few shows that I've pitched, and usually what I do is once it kind of dies a little bit, you just let it sit. And maybe you revisit it, maybe you don't, but you probably will revisit it in about a year or two with some tweaks and changes. And that's the beautiful thing about creating things, is sometimes you just need to let them sit, and you just need to walk away, and then they sort of like grow and ferment and So I'll revisit them.
I just want to remind people that we will take some questions. Feel free to put your hands up, or we do have a microphone over here. Yes, sir. We'll check in with you here. Hop up to the mic here. Before we run out of time, I want to get you guys involved.
Okay, sorry.
Don't do your thing.
2 questions. How does the cast feel about Letterkenny and Trailer Park Boys? And any chance of a crossover between the 3 of you?
Well, Trailer Park Boys I think is done now, aren't they? I love Letterkenny and Trailer Park Boys.
They just did an animated series on Netflix last
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was definitely inspired by the success you guys
Oh,
were
that's
having there.
hilarious. I love Letterkenny is awesome. There could always be I doubt it, because there's such different shows. Like, it's hard to explain the politics of the industry sometimes, but I would love to see that, but I doubt that would happen. But that would be hilarious, because they're also both on the same network, right? So that would be like a real possibility, especially because it's same network. You never know. That would be hilarious, though. Like clean humor meets dirty humor, you know?
Well, yeah.
Like, they're like, all of a sudden, because it's like the Dog River crew kind of comes in, and it's like, wow, this does not fit at all. Who are these people? That's funny.
As big as Simpsons crossing over with Family Guy here in Canada, the Corner Gas and the Trailer Park Boys crossover, that would be huge. Corner Gas memories, off the set, on the air. Was there ever an episode of Corner Gas that you watched personally after it was filmed, and you laughed out loud and you thought, man, that was funnier than I remember?
Well, a lot of the time, because I'm only in the scenes that I'm in, so I have no idea what other people have done. And there are some very funny people on the show. So yeah, I do have laugh out loud moments. One of my favorite moments was we had the Tragically Hip, and that's when we had the band. What was our band called? I can't remember.
Thunderface. Yes.
Yes.
Thunderface.
Thunderface. I had to learn how to play the drums. It was awesome. I always wanted to play the drums. I'm not very good at it, but damn, I thought it was cool. But anyway, so we had the Tragically Hip. And so they shot their bit, and they were jamming, and then they just did a private jam session for us. They just started playing, and we were all sitting there, the crew, the actors, just sitting there watching the Tragically Hip perform for us, like 2 songs. It was wild, and I'm so mad at myself because I had a drumstick that they all signed, and I don't know where the hell I put it.
Oh no.
They all signed it, because at the time it was like, Tragically Hip. Like they're still the Tragically Hip, but I feel like now it's a little different.
It's taken on a different form now, yeah.
And I have this damn drumstick that they all signed, and I don't know where it is. I think my husband threw it out.
Oh no.
Because he does that to me. He does to me what I do to my children. I walk around with like a garbage bag, and I just start, when they're not looking, I just start throwing like McDonald's toys and stuff like that in the garbage. I think he did that to me. I think he threw it out.
I wouldn't
so
put it past him.
mad. Oh.
Now, was there any other scenario where you were forced to learn something you might not have known before? So you mentioned you learned how to play drums. Do you ever find yourself in a scenario like that? Otherwise?
The hacky sack.
The hacky sack.
So I could like kind of hacky sack. And I did. There was one scene where they did a wide shot in the gas station where I was actually hacky sacking, and I did that in the first take. And I was like, "Oh, thank God that's done," because I was like, "I don't want to be here for 2 hours trying to do this." So when I got it in the first take, they're like, "Cut, moving on." I was like, "Oh." But I did have a bunch of scenes that I was like hacky sacking. Oh God, this was a funny episode. Oh my God, Eric with the jeans, the thrown away jeans on the side of the road. Oh my God. But there were some scenes where I had to have dialogue and hacky sack, and I was like, this is not working out, guys. So we actually had one of our crew members lying down on the ground, throwing hacky sacks up in the air. So I'm trying to do my dialogue. This is why acting is hard, guys. So I was trying to do my dialogue, be aware of the scene, be aware of my scene partner, but also aware that there's a man lying on the ground underneath me who's throwing hacky sacks up in the air that I am also trying to time with my knee, going like this. Oh yeah, I got this, saying my dialogue, making sure I don't step on his face, also watching when the hacky sack's going up. I'm like, yes, I am earning my dollars today.
Now, how far did you ever go to research Karen? If you look into the biography of your character, she was it static apnea?
Oh,
Does anybody get that?
yes, the static apnea episode.
I believe it's free diving, is it?
Yeah, I don't know how to swim. I'm actually afraid of the water. So...
Well, it's a good thing you were in the prairies in Saskatchewan then.
I know, they had this whole bucket thing rigged up with something that I could breathe out of, and it was very, I mean, we had some amazing people on our show. I was like, wow, that is an incredible system. So I did have to get my face in there. But yeah, it comes up a lot online. People ask about the static apnea. It's a funny sort of like, hey, and I'm like, I am like deathly afraid of the water. Like I will go in a swimming pool and maybe in the shallow end of an ocean. And that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, I'll like if we go to a cottage in the summer, my kids are also afraid of the water, and I kind of feel like a jerk. So I'll always be like, no, I'm gonna jump in, and I'll like jump in off the dock, and I'm so petrified, but my husband's laughing because I'm trying to be cool. I'm like, I love this. Like trying to get to the end of the dock to climb back up, and I'm like, I think I'm just making them more afraid of the water. I'm making this worse.
And for the fans out there, any other similarities or non-similarities between you and your character on television? She was a great cook. Can you cook?
No, I cannot
cook.
No, I cannot cook. My husband, I have a great husband. He likes to cook. He really finds it
He sounds
soothing.
great. He cooks. He cleans the house up. He throws away drumsticks. It's great.
Throws away drums. What a jerk. No, I can't cook at all. Actually, it's sort of an ongoing joke in my family. Yeah, that I can't cook. But I do, what do? I do quesadillas, grilled cheese. So this is me making my kids' lunches. I'm like, some form of a carbohydrate with a cheese melted on the inside. Yeah, that's what, a macaroni and cheese. I can do that.
Fans will definitely note with the animated corner gas, you can do a lot more. You know, I've seen some scenes where, you know, people are getting electrocuted and haha, it's fun. Is there ever an angle on the live that we couldn't go with because the fact it's live? Or maybe somewhere you wanted to go with your character that probably wouldn't work just because of the limitations on you in that scenario?
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why it feels so organic and natural to go to the animated. I mean, there were times that we had to do little things. Like I remember Nancy, what was that episode where she was like pretending she was in Paris or something on the little scooter and stuff like that? She fell off the scooter and like cut up her hand and stuff like that. Like there's just little things that you think are going to be so simple that you all of a sudden realize you can't do. Or during the movie, I remember Brent called us. He's like, "We're gonna make a movie." I was like, "I'm pregnant." He was like, "Oh crap, that's fine. We can figure this out." And then he paused. "Do you think you'd be okay riding a horse?"
The movie was quite different, though, for a lot of the characters, right? Like in the movie, we found out that Brent and Lacey had started their romantic relationship. You had got married in the movie. It was quite the change. Was it different to have finished the show and then Brent calls you for the movie, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a second, my character is taking these leaps and bounds. I got to wrap my head around a little bit here?
Well, I think they wanted to give the idea that time had passed. But it was weird for me because the thing about Corner Gas is that nothing happens, right? So it was strange that our characters had suddenly evolved. That was the only thing that was weird. I was like, really? I mean, I guess I could say, yeah, I could see Karen you know, because she was sort of the one that be like always wanted to like go to the big city or something like that. But it was weird, and I felt like maybe what they were trying to do was sort of put a button on the show, not knowing that there was going to be another incarnation of it. But it was fun. I mean, it was weird. I was very pregnant. Very, very pregnant. I remember they had to make I think it was 6 months when we started, and then 8 months when we finished. And we had to finish at a certain time because I was like, I am not taking a train back to Toronto. I am getting on a plane. So they had to try and create a uniform for me that could be the same, but that they could like slowly let out as I got bigger and bigger. And I remember there's like a picture of me like near the end in my trailer in my cop uniform, and I was like, they've just released it as far as it can go. And I just felt like a big balloon.
Now, we're just about out of time. I just want to make sure if there's any questions out there that we are getting to them. Anybody you want to raise your hand? There we go. Come on up to the microphone here, sir. Oh, he's just walking out like the Sudbury guy. All right, fair enough. So before we go then, looking...
One over there.
Oh, we got one over here? Come on. Hey, I'll come to you, sir. There we go. Let's want to get everybody in here before we have to wrap things up here. What do you want to say here, sir?
Well, first of all, I want to say it's been an honor speaking with you, and I have 2 questions. One is, I heard that Stephen Harper was on Corner Gas, and how did that work out? And the second one is, have you ever been acquainted with the one John Vernon he's a Canadian actor as well, and I kind of see you as the link between Canadian film history and everything else. That's what I would say.
So the Harper thing, we had a choice. I wasn't in the scene with Harper. We were given a choice of whether or not we wanted to show up to set that day. I did not want to show up to set that day. And it is what it is. I don't want to like talk politics. Everyone has their own thing. It just wasn't my jam. That's all. So I did not show up to set that day. Also, everyone who showed up to set had to have a full background check. It was very intense. But we have had every prime minister, well, not every prime minister, but most of them. So we're a very open show. It doesn't matter if you're conservative, liberal, NDP, if you're prime minister, we will try and get you on our show. And I don't know Mr. Vernon. I feel bad. Who is that?
Well, he was the great Steve Wojcik on the sitcom Wojcik, and he was also Dean Wormer in Animal House.
Okay, now I know what you're talking about. No, I have not worked with him. I have not. Oh, well then I guess I can't work with him. Totally on top of my Canadian celebrity knowledge here, guys.
Well, as long as we don't get to any more political comments that turn this into my Facebook wall when my parents are arguing. Yeah, no. This has been a lot of fun, folks. Let's make some noise here for Tara. Come on now. Thanks for coming out here, fans. And we want to say thank you very much to Tara for being here at London Comic Con. Are we going to get any more appearances with you today, or can we see you anywhere else?
I'm going to be upstairs doing autographs and photos, and then I think I have a photo op at the end of the day, so stick around. I think it's at 4:20 or 4:30 or
4:20.
4:20. Oh yeah, 4:20. Because I was thinking 4:20. I guess some people will be there, some people will be outside.
They'll be outside, but they'll see you at 4:25. Exactly. Yeah. Tara Spencer-Nairn, everybody, put your hands together and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, you guys.